So I've been seeing in some groups about some new orc players here that are asking that what units they should get and what clan they should run them as. So they gave me an idea for a video. Now, I'm going to be building a 2,000 point army, but it's going to be based on a fluffy list. Not exactly competitive, not exactly not either, but it's going to be somewhere in the middle, and it's going to be basically a fluff army. So that if you're wanting to start off and you're not sure where to start with, this should be a good guide for you to pick and choose from on what you should add for your army in whichever clan you choose. So today we're going to go over a 2,000 point fluffy goth army. Okay, so this list is going to consist of 2 battalions and a vanguard. And what I'm going to do is I'll have the number of units of each type, and also at the end I'm going to put the cost out there so that if you were to go to GW and buy everything new, I'll give you the cost of what it is at the date that I post this. Now, we all know GW likes to change their pricing, but it hopefully shouldn't change anywhere from here on out for a while. But we will obviously see what they decide to do. So let's get started. So this list is actually one that I'm going to be running myself into the next local tournament here. So, as I said, it has 2 battalions and a vanguard. Plus your 3 command points for being Battleforge. That's going to give us 14 points out the door. Now, some of these points are going to be spent pre-game, but we'll get into all that later. So the first battalion is going to have 2 Weird Boys and 30 Grots. Now, our 1 Weird Boy we're going to want to turn into a Warphead, and I have given him Warpath and Fists of Gork. My other Weird Boy has the Jump, of course. Those are my 3 favorite psychic powers, so I try to run them as much as I can, and I find spending that 1 command point on a Weird Boy to make him a Warphead is by far worth it. Now, the Grots here are going to be for objective grabbing. There's not too much need to be worried about for screening with them for Grot shields in this particular list. When I start moving into the other clans, if that's something you guys want to see, give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments if you like this type of idea. But for my Goth list, I'm not too concerned about using them for screens, so they're basically there to be either a tar pit or grab objectives. Pretty simple, they're cheap points, very cheap points. So you're going to need to go out and grab yourself 2 Weird Boys and 3 boxes of Grots for your first battalion. Now, our second battalion here is going to consist of 2 war bosses. Preferably 1 with a power claw and 1 with a big choppa. What I like to do with them is I will make my warlord the 1 with the power claw and give him the killer claw, of course. But I also like to spend a point on extra gubbins and give my other war boss Headwappa's kill choppa. I find having the both of them being able to move separate units, advancing and charging, and both war bosses are going to pack a massive punch. It is highly worth 1 command point, especially when we're talking about a Goth army. Being melee focused, as hard as I can hit the better, because I'm not taking many guns, unless you count pistols, but they're not, that great. Now for boys units, we are going to be taking 5 units of 30. So we're going to be looking at a lot of boys, 150 boys on the field. Now, the plan with these guys, because we are going for a full tide list here, 150 boys, you're going to want to put 1 unit in Deep Strike to come out in turn 2. Put them on Teleporta, spend those 2 points, it's going to be worth it. So 1 unit is going to drop turn 2. Anywhere. Even if you can't get them into the backfield, you're going to get them in charge range of whatever you want. It's a great cushion to have. Now, first turn, you're going to want to try and jump a unit of boys. So turn 1, you're going to have boys in their face. Turn 2, your second unit is going to drop in wherever they're going to fit, basically. It makes the most sense tactically. And you're going to have 90 boys besides that charging upfield. Now, by turn 2, you should be fairly decently up there. So, running a full tide list, you're going to swamp them with bodies. Hopefully, they're not going to know what to attack first, because in a list like this, like I said, being a tide list, almost all their targets are going to be fairly similar. So having 150 boys out on the field is going to be daunting for them. If they don't have enough guns, small fire guns, then we're not too worried about the big damage stuff. The las cannons, they're only going to kill a couple boys at a time, depending on obviously what guns they've brought. But unless they've got infantry guns, you're going to be able to overwhelm them fairly quickly. So you're going to need to buy 15 boxes of boys. Now, this is the highest cost of this whole list. Only being 10 in a box, 30 for a squad, and running 150, well, you're going to need to buy 15 boxes of boys. They say boys before toys, and this tide list is exactly that. Nothing but boys on the table. And from our 30 grots from the other battalion there, that's 180 models so far on the table for your opponent to figure out what to shoot at, when to shoot at, and how to shoot at. And just trudge upfield as quick as you can. Advance all the time. Your 2 war bosses on the field will be able to advance in separate directions and attack at separate locations. Keep your 60 boys or so with your Power Claw Warlord and the 30 boys, and if somehow the jump fails, you're going to have another 30 boys with Head Wappa Kill Choppa Boss. So you're going to be able to hopefully wreck face no matter where you go. And spending points on Scar Boys is entirely at your discretion. I like having a minimum of 2 units, usually 3. The one I'll deep strike, I'll probably turn into a Scar Boy for a point, so it's going to cost me 3 points for that 1 unit of boys. But we'll see, it's situational as well. Use that to your discretion and be mindful of how many command points you have left. Because no matter what you want to do, is you're going to want to save at least 3 points for some point in the game to get the Unstoppable Green Tide back. So that's essentially going to make your 150 boys into 180 when you bring that unit back on a table edge. It's just more boys the better. Flood the enemy, buy 15 boxes of boys, and there you go. That's a lot to shoot at. That's no joke for your opponent. I wouldn't want to come up against a 200 model point or count army on the table. I wouldn't know what to do. So flood them and do what you can. And we'll move on to our Vanguard detachment next. So with our Vanguard detachment, our HQ is going to be an index, not purchasable model. So I'm going to leave this up to you guys to figure out how to make one. It's not that hard. It is a big mech with custom force field. You're going to want to be able to have some of those guys in a bubble of a 5-up invul. It's hard not to take a custom force field if you have the option. Now, we don't have a specific model that we can purchase from GW for this, so I'm not including it in the final price for obvious reasons. But what else can we buy from them? Well, here we go. So the Vanguard I've put into my list here, I've got a Knob with Wall Banner. Obvious, it fits in a tide list, it's very fluffy, makes perfect sense to have all those boys in range hitting on a 2. Very fluffy for me, which is what I'm going for. Also, 2 separate Pain Boys. Now, I know that's up for debate. Some people love them, some people don't use them. When I'm running this many boys, I want to have 2 of them. Because coming up against any AP whatsoever is detrimental to a boy. So I want to have that 6-up feel no pain. So I am taking 2. Also, Commandos. Now, these aren't something I run too often, but I've put them in this list. Now, I have 2 units of 10. Now, they only come in 5-man boxes, so you have to buy 4 boxes. And these guys are not cheap if you're going to be buying them. Now, most of these things that I'm saying, well, some of them anyways, are going to be very convertible. Like, you can convert your own commandos, but these are all the prices that are going to be stock. If you wanted to purchase them stock, this is what it's going to be. So you're going to need 4 boxes, because it's only 5, to run 2 10-man units. So they're going to be able to pop in turn 2 or whenever you want, either to surprise characters or to hit a target there that's in the way, or just sit on objective. They're very useful, absolutely useful. And they fit into most armies, some more than others. Like, they really fit into a Blood Axe style army. But you can put them into pretty much anywhere. They will be the outcast of the Goth boys army, but you know what? We don't care. They're outcasts. They do serve a purpose. So 2 10-man units will do just fine as far as I'm concerned. And then finally on this 2,000 point list, I have 3 Def-Coptas with rockets, purely to get a little bit of AP shooting and just for the movement and getting objectives. That's all they're there for. I fully expect them to be shot off the board as soon as possible, because they're one of the only targets here that isn't a boy. So they're going to want to get my fast mover out of there. But it also, if they do that, they're going to target a lot of shots into 3 Coptas, and that saves some of my boys. So even if the Coptas die right off the hop, it's going to save the backbone of any Tide list, which is your infantry. And I fully expect the Coptas to do nothing or do a little. So that's either a distraction, or they're going to gain me a point or 2 on an objective. Either way is fine. Your opponent will eventually have to deal with them no matter what, and that should save your boys a little bit of firepower. Now remember, this is just one idea to run a fluffy Goth army. There are so many different units, like Storm Boys, you can put trucks full of knobs, lots of different types of units and ways to play are out there. This is just an idea of how to build a fluffy based army that could still have some pretty good punching power. Now, that this list is, like I said, one that I'm going to be running here in a couple of weeks at a local tournament. Nothing serious. I'm not expecting to win, but I'm expecting to flood the board and control it. I've called this list Board Control. And it's coming in at, let me just double check here, 1,989 points. All of my knobs in the boys units are all rocking big choppas. 1 for points effectiveness, and 2, I just like big choppas. They're consistent. Yeah, I don't know. Big fan. Now, the commandos, on the other hand, I've pointed them out to have power claws because they're smaller units. I want them to hit harder before they get wiped out, because that'll happen as well. But there are so many different things. You can throw walkers into this list, like Def Dreads or Gorkanauts, whatever you want. This is just an idea to pick and choose from for a new player that might not know exactly what they need to pick for X army. So these are just my thoughts. The price of this army I'll go over in a minute, and I'll do it in Canadian, American, and British pounds. Depending on where you're living, you can accommodate it to your liking. So fluff is what I like to do. I like to play fun armies. I've built my army around the Green Tide, hence my channel name. So I'm going to try seeing what this does at the local game coming up soon. But now let's get into what this army is actually going to cost. So I'm going to be talking in Canadian dollars here, but I will also put on the screen into the other currencies as well. So, and this is all before applicable taxes, depending on where you live as well, too, and your tax rate and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to need 2 war bosses. So at $30 a piece, that's $60. 2 weird boys, again, $60. Now this is where it's going to hurt. We're going to need 15 boxes of boys, and they're $40 Canadian each. So that's going to run you $600 right off the gate for your infantry. Gretchen, we are looking at $24 a box. We need 3 of those. Knob with Wall Banner, $30. A Pain Boy, 2 of them, so $31 each. That's $62 for them. Def Coptas are $39.50 each. 3 of them for this list, that's $118.50. For a grand total of $1,222.50. Again, that's not including the big mech with custom force field because there isn't a model that you can buy from GW. You could probably get one from a third party and all that, but I'm not looking into any of those at the moment. So we're looking at over $1,200 to run this list if you were to buy everything brand new from the shop. My recommendation is if you have the option, don't buy new, buy used, buy new on sprue, strip some models if you have to save some money. If you've got the cash to do it new, absolutely, knock yourself out. But when it comes to somebody like myself, a lot of these models I've gotten secondhand or whatever, and for the most part, they've all been in really, really good condition, except for my Coptas. But they only cost me $5 each, so I bought 10 of them. They were put together fairly poorly and painted fairly thick. But for $5 each, I am not going to argue at all. 10 of them for $50 was an absolute bargain. Personally, there is absolutely no way I'd be spending, $40 per Copta from GW. Not a chance. So if you guys got the option, seriously look for other people selling off their orc stuff. They shouldn't be, but they do. I don't know why. We need to grow the WoW as much as we can. So if you guys like this video and want to see some fluffy-based armies for other clans, let me know which clan you would like to see, and I will do my best to bring the fluffiest type army your way that I can. Thanks for joining me on this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this idea for a video. I had a lot of fun thinking about it. I made multiple lists for the Goth army that you just saw, and I decided to go with this really basic one because it is as full-on tied as I could make it. And that's what I like to run. My back hates it, but movement trays are in my future because when you're moving that many bodies, you need to speed up the game as quickly as you can. So thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.